Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Come on in. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome. It's great to see you. This is Money in the Morning, aka Economic Elevation. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I think we're going to have a guest today. Dr. Mary Stoddard is expected to join us this morning. And I hope that she doesn't have any technical difficulties or anything. But either way, though, Mary is a friend she's B1. She's spoken at the All Black National Convention. And Mary, I'm going to brag on her before she even gets here so you'll know why we invited her. Not only is she a close friend of our family, but she also is one of the few people I know that has a law degree and a PhD. She also did something that's pretty amazing that I think every black parent needs to know about. Anybody that has kids, how many of y'all got kids? Anybody got kids or grandkids in here? All the parents, raise your hand, shout yourselves out. You have the most important job in the community because you are the educators of our young people. Well, Mary has five kids, and literally all five of her children are doctors or legit PhDs. I'm talking about like PhDs that went through 5 years of school, like at a major university. Some of them are teaching at universities, stuff like that. And she has a husband who's a surgeon named Dr. Marcus Stoddard. And so this is an extraordinary family. This is what I refer to as a $1 million family, not just because of what Mary and her husband Marcus have acquired, but also because of what they did with their children. And there's even more to her story. And I hope Mary can make it so she can tell you the story herself and give you the details. But Mary, if I'm not mistaken, had at least 13 or 14 siblings as a child, and they were sharecroppers. They were literally dirt poor, extremely poor. And every single one of her siblings all finished college because they had a plan. They had a strategy. And so if Mary don't make it, I love Mary so much that I don't even care if she can't, if something goes wrong and she can't make it today, I'm gonna just invite her tomorrow because she is somebody that is worth hearing about, worth knowing. And let me just tell you, I don't know about y'all, but I get kind of frustrated by the fact that we always hear about the wrong black people, right? If there's some Negro out here acting a damn fool, embarrassing themselves, clowning for white folks, or disrespecting women, or going to jail or something. Everybody want to talk about that. Everybody wants to talk about the celebrities who want to destroy your kids, but nobody talks about the real heroes in the community. The real heroes in the community are the parents that want to love and raise your kids, the people that want your kids to be successful, the people that want our children to be safe. So that's why I love Dr. Mary Stoddard. Anyway, all right, so I'm sending out the text message for today. And so if you want to be on the text list for this class, make sure you text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. And actually, in a second, I'm gonna show you. I got a big surprise for you, in terms of something that we've been working on in the Black Business School. I don't think it's ever been done anywhere else. I don't know of any other space or institution that's ever done this. So this is a big deal. I can't wait to tell you guys about it. And so what I want to do is, until we see if Mary's going to be able to make it today, I want to actually read some stats to you about kids. If you plan to have kids, you should know this. If you have kids, of course, grandkids. If you don't have kids, if you just love kids, if you love black kids and you care about black kids and you see the value of their human capital, then this is information that will matter for you because you're here because you care about the black community. You're here because you want to break generational curses. You're here because you want our people to be better, right? I hope that I'm correct about this. All right, so let me read some stats to you that will be very interesting to you in terms of understanding why in the Black Business School educating children is so important for us. So the first stat I want to pop out and kind of analyze really quickly is that they found that 82% of adults who receive a financial education before the age of 18 report higher financial well-being compared to only 40% of those who didn't get education, financial education when they were young. So this is according to the National Endowment of Financial Education. And it basically says that if you give your child financial education, they're twice as likely to be, what's the term that they use? They're twice as likely to have financial well-being. They're twice as likely to be mentally healthy when it comes to their finances. They're twice as likely to not end up whining and crying on TikTok because they can't handle the cost of living. They're twice as likely to not have to go create an OnlyFans in order to make extra money. They're twice as likely to not have to go do something crazy or stupid in order to get money. And this is important. I remember how stressed out I used to be in college when I got to University of Kentucky when I was 18, and I had to work at Hardee's the graveyard shift. I had to work from 12 a.m. until like 4 or 5 a.m. And I was a freshman in college. So in addition to adjusting to college, I had to go to work every night. That was hard. That was really hard. And I told you about and there was all kinds of stuff that was around me that was so unhealthy that I should have been exposed to at that age. There were the older guys. If again, it's thank God I wasn't a follower, because the older guys, the older black guys I was supposed to look up to, they would go in the bathroom and they were using cocaine. They literally could have introduced me to drugs, and if I was a follower, like, oh, I'll try it, then I would have done. But fortunately, I knew drugs were not good. My father, who was a drug addict, both of my fathers had drug addictions. One overcame his, the other one didn't. Um, I no telling what kind of man I would have been. And then I told you about that time that ugly old white lady tried to sleep with me for money. I told y'all about that, right? Where she pulled up in the Hardee's drive-through, trying to get some of this delicious chocolate. I said, "Girl, please, this is preserved for the black woman. Ain't you ain't get it. Plus you older than my mama. That's just gross to me." Anyway, so my point is to say that there's a lot of happiness and unhappiness that comes from how financially secure you are. That's the point. They say money can't buy happiness, and I agree. Money can't really buy you happiness. But I can tell you that a financial deficiency can buy you unhappiness. I can't say that. Not having enough money to pay the rent, that can buy you some unhappiness. Um, Stressing out about money, not being able to pay your bills, not being able to get your kids what they need, that'll get you some unhappiness. So ultimately, being financially healthy and having adequate resources makes a very big difference. I mean, really, just think about how good you feel when you can pay the rent when the rent's due, when you got extra money in your bank account, when you open up that bank account balance and you see good things, or when you the other day when the market took off and did really well, it was short-lived, but when it did really well, you opened up your Robinhood and think about how good you felt when you opened up the Robinhood and you saw everything was green and going up and to the right, and we were making money together. We experienced this together. That's a wonderful feeling. I just really want our children to have wonderful feelings. I want them to have happiness associated with being black. I'm tired. I don't believe that being black should just mean you're always going to be miserable and sad all the time. But that's what's constantly fed to us. And that's not the reality I want to live. And that's not what I want to pass down to the kids. I don't want them looking at our generation and saying, y'all didn't invest nothing for us. Y'all left us out in the cold. Y'all didn't even prepare for us back in 2025. You don't want them talking about you like that. You want them to say thank you, right? So let me read another stat. This is from the University of Cambridge. They did a study and they said that kids who are taught about saving and budgeting by the age of 10, pay attention, by the age of 10, they are three times more likely to have a savings account by the age of 18. So they're three times more likely to have a savings account if they're taught about budgeting by the age of 10. So you teach this stuff early. Let's keep going. This is from the Brookings Institute. It says that early financial education increases net worth by 24% on average by the time the child reaches their 30s. So basically, by the time they're in their 30s, their net worth, their wealth is going to be higher. Their net worth, and that's what net worth is. Net worth is assets minus liability. So when they talk about black wealth, they're talking about the collective net worth of all the black people in America. So when you see that study, how many of y'all know about the study, right? The doom and gloom study. Black net worth is supposed to drop to zero by 2053. And people talk about it like we don't have a say in whether that happens, right? Like they talk about it like it's inevitable. Well, every black person's wealth is gonna die in 20 years. Like, if we're just sitting there waiting for the train to crash, you're driving the car down the road. They're like, well, if you keep driving down this road, you're gonna drive into a truck. Well, then get off the damn road. Drive in a different direction. Like, why do we talk about our fate as if we don't have a say in our fate? Do you understand this? Like, why would we even talk about a stat like that as if it's somehow inevitable and that the only way it's going to be averted is if white people decide to not allow it to happen? You are not my God, sir. You are not my master. You are not the person that shapes my destiny. That is not going to happen. Not up in my house, not with me, not me with me calling myself a man. At the end of the day, those stats are based on simple beliefs, simple assumptions. The simple assumption is that if you keep doing the same stupid thing you've been doing, this is what's going to happen. It's like you're talking to a kid and you say, if you keep going down this path, you're going to go to jail. You're not saying that you're definitely going to jail. You're saying if you continue to do what you've been doing, then you're going to end up in jail. That's what you're saying. So, what you're really saying is change your behavior. So, this study tells you a lot right here. Let me repeat it. It says here students who took a financial, no, sorry, let me scratch, let me go back. Early financial education increases net worth by 24% on average by the time kids reach their 30s. So what that basically says, so it's so simple, that if we commit to giving our children financial education, Black wealth will rise by 24%. That literally their wealth, their net worth will be higher because they got the financial education. And then there's some other leaks we've talked about, like student loans. Student loans are the number one drainer of Black wealth um, in existence, mainly because it's affecting those of you that appear and feel like you're the most successful, and you are. You're great at getting education. The problem is that the education at some point is supposed to lead to a positive net worth. See, debt is not a bad thing. Companies take on debt all the time. Debt is okay. Debt can be your friend, but when debt becomes a liability is when you're drowning in debt. Debt becomes a liability when you don't make enough money to pay back the debt that you borrowed. Debt becomes a problem when you overdose on debt. Debt is like a drug. Drugs are okay. There's nothing bad inherently about a drug. Drugs can save your life, but drugs will kill you if you become an addict. Drugs will kill you if you OD if you take the whole bottle of pills in one time and take it all down like a bag of Skittles, then you're gonna die. You're not going to survive. And that could literally be a drug that was supposed to save your life if you took two pills like the doctor said, but instead you took 80, now you're gone. So debt is the same way. A little bit of debt can go a long way to achieving your goals if you have a plan and a vision and a skill set to know how to apply that capital. But if you don't have those things, and then you take too much of it, and this is the formula. You give it an 18-year-old, 18, you put an 18-year-old $200,000 in debt so they can party at a university for 4 years. Well, what you think's gonna happen? You think that's a good formula? No, it's not a good formula. Okay. So anyway, one thing I want to mention really quick is so this is the surprise. This is the thing. Well, I'm super excited. I'm proud of this. I think that we're just the best on Earth. We're beasts absolutely when it comes to Black wealth. Like that's just my thing, and that's what I love. So let me show you all something that we put together, and I hope Michelle's watching because Michelle helped put this project together. I'm going to show you guys an image. It's on my Twitter. Wait, let me make sure I hit the right button to get to the Twitter. Hold on for a minute. Can't find it. Gosh dang it. Hold on. It's on my Twitter. My Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins 1, Dr. Boyce Watkins 1, and I keep hitting the wrong button. So that's uh-oh. Now the screen's black. See, this is what happens. You try to do something right and then it just messes up. Right when companies and comes to the house. All right, so here I'm gonna try it one more time. I'm gonna try to share this with you. And this is something that we've been working on and thinking about conceiving for a while. And I believe it's going to be just powerful and revolutionary for our kids. And these are our Black Millionaires of Tomorrow stock options flashcards for children. This is on my Twitter. Can you guys see that? I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but literally, what I realized is I said stock options are so important and so valuable and such a really truly powerful advanced investing tool that I said, what if we were able to train just, 50 to 100,000 of our kids on how to use stock options at an early age? What if we just made that as fundamental as learning how to read, write, do math, throw a football, throw a basket, dribble a basketball, right? It's as common as knowing how to twerk, right? I mean, our kids would absolutely be financial masters. Because here's the thing, The people that know these advanced financial tools, and I know all of them because I taught these things at Syracuse and other places, these are the ones who are the masters of wealth. These are the ones who control their economic destiny. These are the ones who become the millionaires and billionaires and all these other things. So why can't we produce the same thing in our community and do it in an extraordinary and systematic way? And the operative word there is system. Systematic racism is a system. So black excellence must also become a system. The antidote to systematic racism is systematic black excellence. Do you follow what I'm saying? Give me a yes if you get what I'm saying. So what I want us to really develop over time are systems to fight the system. So what we want to do is we want to systematically ensure, and I need your help on this. I cannot do this alone. We really need, again, I cannot talk to the children without the permission of the parents. I need the permission of the parents, especially the mother. The mother is the first teacher, the father is the second teacher. So I'm asking your permission as parents to be able um to develop systems of black excellence so that our kids are the economic masterminds of this country within the next 30 to 40 years. This is what I want. I want the 6-year-old learning stock options at the age of 6 so that she will dominate financially when she's 26 because she will have a capital base and an incredible skill set, as well as discipline and a culture and values that will lead to wealth. She will understand things that we talk about here, like how to create a wealth building culture, how to embrace financial fertility, how to make sure that your economics are going to grow based on the type of culture you create in your household. So when that 6-year-old becomes a 26-year-old and she starts to run a household of her own, and maybe she's got children of her own, she'll know exactly how to position those assets in that God in God's portfolio so that the value of of those assets is maximized, right? So ultimately, this is one of the things we're doing. I haven't seen anyone else do anything like this anywhere. Um, Stock options, I guess, for some people seems like an advanced topic. I can teach it in a way that it becomes like baby food. So when these flashcards are available, you all will be the first ones that will get a chance to buy them. We'll make them fairly priced. We'll also include this in the Black Wealth Ambassadors program, so you can get them and you can resell them. You can buy them wholesale if you want to, and make it into a business. And that's one of our trump cards we're going to use. Not to use the word Trump, and that's a sensitive word, but that's literally going to be our ace in the hole. That's our big joker. We're gonna slam that damn big joker on the table. Anybody who plays spades knows what I'm talking about. We're gonna slam the big joker on the table, and we cutting all books. We're taking everything. We're going straight to the house. We getting 10. We're doing 10 books in this hand. That's how I want us to win. I want us to come so hard and so clear and so powerfully that we cannot be stopped. And these little steps, these little decisions that we're making, all of us together, are what's gonna make us great. So anyway, so that's what's happening. That's what's going on. And thank you all for hearing me out on that. And I'll let you guys know when they're ready. Again, I hope Michelle's watching. Michelle said she was going to be here today because I told her I was going to tell everybody about the great project that she helped us work on. Because without the team, we can't do any of this. And without you, we can't do any of this. So thank you for believing in us. All right, so let's move on. All right, so it looks like Mary Stoddard won't make it today. I don't know what happened. Maybe there's confusion about the time. It's okay, though. You will meet Dr. Mary Stoddard because she's somebody that you want to hear about. She's like a superstar parent. That's what I would describe her as. Not and not just a superstar parent. She's a superstar professionally, of course. She has a great career. Again, law degree and PhD, and she's such a tough one that she literally, and I hope, and maybe Mary can help me make sure I tell the story right. But she had a baby, and then she walked in her graduation like the day after or something. Like she gave birth and then walked across the stage like the next day or something. Because she comes from really tough stock, right? She comes from that era where things were not handed to you. She comes from an era where there was no ability to lean on things like affirmative action or DEI or anything. You had to make it happen. You know, with her family literally being sharecroppers. If I'm not, and again, I want Mary to tell the story because I'm so excited about the fact that we have people like this in our community that it just inspires the heck out of me. But they came from a time where white folks really wasn't trying to give you nothing. And in general, the world was trying to stop you from accomplishing things. And her family was successful because they had a plan. So the same way her family had a plan, I think your family can and should have a plan. So let me keep going here. Let me read a couple more stats and then we'll bounce out today. I'm not going to keep you for too long. So, another study, according to the Council for Economic Education, says that students who took a financial literacy course in high school were more likely to attend college and graduate, leading to lifetime earnings that are 300 to $600,000 higher. So, a financial literacy course in high school increases the odds that your income and net worth is going to be higher. And then, last but not least, Black youth exposed to financial literacy programs showed a 35% increase in entrepreneurial interest. So they're more likely to want to be the boss. They're more likely to want to own things. They're more likely to want to control their economic destiny. And they had a 27% decrease in the use of things like payday loans later in life, right? Payday loans, those payday lenders that they love to put in our neighborhoods, they are designed to extract your wealth. They pretty much take advantage of a lack of financial preparation. They take advantage of those who are in a tough spot, right? When you get caught in the trap, and we celebrate the trap. We love being in the trap. We have a whole genre of hip hop called trap music, and we glorify the trap. Everybody wants to be in the trap. I don't want to be in the trap. I don't want to be in the ghetto trap. I don't want to be in the student loan trap. I don't want to be in the corporate plantation trap. There's a whole lot of traps out here, and these traps are set by other people. And so one of the things that happens with payday lenders is they catch people that are in the financial trap. They're in the paycheck to paycheck trap. That's another trap, right? And so ultimately, the financial literacy creates economic financial consciousness, right? Awareness. And the awareness translates into a person saying, "Well, let me read the fine print on that document. What exactly is my interest rate? Wait, so you mean you're going to loan me $500 and I can end up owing you 3,000? Like, how does that happen? Like, so that awareness is extremely important. And here's the thing about payday lenders. If you want to know my perspective on that, I've seen people. My liberal friends, a lot of times they'll just want to ban payday lenders altogether. They say payday lenders, they exploit people. Let's just get rid of them. They're bad. And I have mixed feelings about that because I know people that need payday lenders, right? If you have no other option, you do what you got to do, and all of us have been in situations where we did what we had to did in that moment because the money was tight and you needed to just get through the situation, right? That's what happens to all of us. Where it's like, yeah, I'd like to think about the big picture and long term, but right now I got to get this money by Tuesday because the lights are going to get cut off on Tuesday. I have my lights cut off. I grew up like, I know what that feeling. I know what that feels like. My mama got. I hope she'll mind me. Well, she's in heaven, so hopefully, mama, I'm sorry. But one time, my mama's car got repossessed, and I was 8 years old. I called the police. I called the cops. I was like, "Sir, I'd like to report 911. Beep beep beep. I'd like to report a stolen vehicle." I was 8 years old, reporting that they stole my mama's car. And I didn't understand why she grabbed the phone from me and hung it up. I didn't. So, so, so I know, I get it, right? And what happens is if you want to know where certain types of economic exploitation takes place, it comes from that. It comes from scenarios where time is not your friend. I told you how time is the most important variable in the world of economics. Time is everything. Time is the key to wealth, and it's also the key to pain. It's the key to suffering, right? So a lot of times you have scenarios where your time is short. I got to get this money by Tuesday. What am I going to do? And what happens, unfortunately, in this country is they don't offer adequate banking systems for everybody. There are a lot of people that are unbanked, and I think that we should do a better job with that. Capitalism does not do a very good job of taking care of everybody, and because of that, you have people that are in a situation where they got to do what they got to do, and so sometimes you borrow the money with an incredibly high interest rate because you need it and you'd rather because nobody makes you take the loan. Nobody says you have to do it. People do it because the situation made you have to do it. Right? So I don't believe in getting rid of payday lenders. I believe in providing alternatives to payday lenders and also educating people to know the consequences of using payday lenders and how to prepare so you don't have to use payday lenders. See, what you got to understand, this is really important. When I talk about economics and culture, and I go through this a lot in my book, The Ten Commandments of Black Economic Power, I talk about culture a lot because even little things like delayed gratification versus instant gratification are everything when it comes to building wealth. Warren Buffett, one of the greatest wealth builders of all time, literally says that that wealth in America is a transfer of resources from impatient people to patient people. When you're trying to figure out how to deal with this stock market right now, all the volatility, all the chaos, all the ups and downs, the people that are going to win are the patient people, the ones who can sit back and hold their stock and not freak out and just say this too shall pass. But your ability to delay gratification is connected. Pay attention now. It's connected to how you respond in the moment. And one thing that is found in every study imaginable in the research that Dr. Alicia is doing right now on this very group, on you all filled out her survey. She's doing original academic research on Black financial psychology, which has never really been done hardly by anywhere else. We were stunned that there's nothing in the academic journals on this. What we find is that trauma makes it harder for you to delay gratification because trauma, if it's unhealed and unaddressed, if you don't address that with a therapist or work through your process, trauma is going to cause you in the moment to have a trauma response. And so if you have a trauma response, and there's Mary, hey, wait, she disappeared. Where'd you go, Mary? Come on back in. So trauma, if you have a trauma response to short-term stressors in your life, then your ability to delay gratification is out the window because all you're trying to do is heal the temporary pain that you're feeling in that moment. So I'm gonna stop talking. Mary, we've been talking about you. Your ears must have been burning because we've been talking about you the whole time. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We're so glad you're here. I told them that you get a pass. I
Okay.
Yeah, I said don't. I said I said we love Mary Stoddard so much that if she can't make it, she's still invited anytime she wants to because we just love you that much. And so how are you okay? You're looking younger every day. So how are things going? You and I haven't talked for a while.
We have not talked since it was your mother's funeral.
Yes.
We
Yeah. Well,
talked very briefly then. Very
yeah.
briefly.
That day was such a blur, and like and so I really didn't even remember us talking that day because you just it's a heavy day, and I know my mama loved you. She talked about you like like in so many glowing ways, and we have so much respect for your family. And I've been telling, just so you know, I've been telling all your stories, probably been telling them the wrong way, but I needed everybody to know, because I respect everything that you have accomplished in a multitude of areas. So what I'm going to do is try my best to not ask every question at once, and start with the basic stuff. Uh, what do you do for a living? Let's start with that.
So currently, I am a practicing attorney. I have my own practice, and I'll explain a little bit later why I have my own practice. And I am also a registered licensed dietitian. So sometimes, if I need to talk to somebody that needs some nutritional care or help, I can do that. I maintain my license just to do that. Once you get a degree and a license, you want to hold on to it, especially since there are not a lot of African American or Black registered licensed dietitians in the United States. So I do hold that license as well. I'm an arbitrator as well, and I also do mediation. So it's kind of open yourself up to do the things that you really want to do when you want to do it, based on the fact that you have accomplished those things to make life better, hopefully for somebody else. And of course, that was my always my intent to be able to serve the public in any way that I possibly can. And so, with the multitude of degrees and professions, I can do that.
Mm. So let's go through that list. I said you that you are Dr. Stoddard and also you have a law degree, but you got more than that. Can you go down the list of the different degrees that you have?
Yeah, sure. So, my first degree is a Bachelor of Science in Food Nutrition and Clinical Dietetics. I'm an HBCU graduate, Southern University, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I'm originally from Louisiana. My second degree is a Master's of Art in Management. And then I also have a Master's of Business Administration, an MBA. I have the Juris Doctorate, which is a law degree. And then I have a doctorate in education with an emphasis on leadership management.
Mm. Okay. And your husband, Dr. Marcus Stoddard, with every great woman is a great man. Tell us about Dr. Marcus.
So Marcus is a nationally, internationally known cardiologist. Does a ton of research. Matter of fact, my kids tend to follow this a lot more than I do because I know he just does a lot of research. He is like the fifth person cited in the United States in cardiology, which is a tremendous accomplishment to be cited by so many people based upon the research that he has done. So he is Johns Hopkins medical school graduate, did his residency, internship, and fellowship at St. Louis University in St. Louis, and undergrad at Holy Cross. He is the only one of his siblings who went past high school. So for that's a great accomplishment when you don't have anybody that can be a role model or who can serve in that role to go on and accomplish what he has accomplished. It is very important that you have some type of supportive system to get you there. I knew I was going to go to college, even though we had no money, because my oldest sister had gone to college, and we figured that hey, if she can do it, we can do it as well. So he is the youngest of his three of the three of them, and he went on to excel and has done extremely well. He is head of non-invasive cardiology at the University of Louisville. He's been chief of cardiology at the VA, and works at several other hospitals as well in a leadership capacity.
Wow. Okay. So, and it's so funny. I really had to I had to calm my ADHD to really interview. Number one, because I'm not the best interviewer. I just talk. I just like talking to people. And then two, because there's so many interesting things about you and your family that I was like, okay, let's take our time, boys. Let's not jump. Let's not jump into everything at once because your accomplishments sky high, your husband's accomplishments sky high but it's sky high on top of sky high because it's not like either one of you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth.
Oh,
You
absolutely not.
right, right. You mentioned that your husband was the first one in his family to not go past or to go past high school, which I did not know that. And then also yourself. I remember my mother describing your childhood, and I remember her using the word sharecropping and a lot of siblings. But I don't want to tell the story wrong. But I just so you know, I told you your ears are got to be always be burning because I talk about you all the time. Tell us the whole story so that I can say it right next time.
So my parents were sharecroppers, which means my father, we worked the land. We didn't own the land, so you had to pay to use the land and then pay a portion also of whatever product you raised from the land. So we had very, very meager backgrounds. I can compare it to if you lived in the projects growing up, you were living way above our means. You know, people have probably never heard of an outhouse. I'm very familiar with an outhouse. Uh, and, uh, very, very meager background. But one thing my mom always said is you can always do better. And so the lack of education that they had did not afford them the opportunity to make a good living. So being raised on a sharecropper's farm, going to school was always an exciting thing because it means I wasn't going to the fields to pick cotton or to chop cotton. If you missed the school bus, then that was your invitation. There was no take you to school, that was take you to the field. So there was a bookmobile that would it carries books and you can take off enough books to read for a couple of weeks and they'd come back. But being raised on the farm and we would grow most of our food. We had the chickens, we had the cows, we had the pigs. We raised the large gardens, with all the vegetables, and we would freeze those food items like your green beans, your black beans, and we would actually preserve those so it would get us through the winter till the next season came. Then I have to say, because God has been so good to us, I've gone back to the farm, and we own the farm now. We bought it. gone back to the farm, and a lot of the fruit trees that produce an abundance of resources, like your pear trees, your plum trees, your persimmon trees, your uh, dewberries, which are blackberries, but we call them dewberries. Most people call them blackberries. Those was in abundance, and we would pick those, and we would preserve those, and we would make our jelly, and we would preserve our pears and the peaches and plums and tree fruit like that. We also had a pond that we never stocked, but it always had fish in it. And so when the scripture says God will provide, I am a living testimony that God did provide, because when we go back there now, those trees are not producing as much fruit as they were then, because really there's not the population there to utilize that. Um, and so from there, coming off the farm and going to my mom, eventually after my younger siblings uh, went off to college, my mom did go and get some college credit. So she did go back to school. And so that always was an incentive and an encouragement to us that, hey, mom's going to college even after she's had 14 kids. She's
Mm.
going to college and getting college credit, and she was very good at it. Had she probably not been a teen pregnancy mom, and back those days, if you had a baby, you took care of the child. Um, so she went and took some college credit and did very well, had a 4.0. So very proud of mom for doing that. And eventually she started working at the school lunch room, preparing food for students for school lunches. That afforded them to then start bringing in some money, because she did not have the kids were old enough to be able to help take care themselves, and she would be able to go to work. So that was tremendous. We had a lot of She had a couple friends who also provided support. um, we knew how to sew, because you can make clothes and remake clothes for whoever you're passing it down to, and it'll be a different design. So very humble background, based upon that. And off to college, we did not have, they didn't have any money to send us to college. When I was in college, I was on a work study and scholarship. And so we would the older siblings, when they went off to college, we would pick up pecans from the pecan trees, and we would sell those pecans. And that money would be used to send to the siblings who were in college, so that they can buy textbooks and, have the things that they needed in order to be successful. So we were very supportive of each other as well. And of course, when I went off to college, I worked on campus and did the work study. Those of my siblings who were out of college and out working were actually able to send money to help pay for books and things like that.
Mm.
Uh, One of my work study position was I worked in the library. So some of the books I could not afford when I was in college, and working in the library gave me an opportunity to get those books while I was in the library and study, and either check them out or study. You couldn't keep it out for the whole semester, so I would use that book while I was in the library. So we had to be so we were very smart about what we did and how we did it, and we're very strategic about it as well. So that's kind of my background in growing up, and like I say, we all of my siblings, we knew how to cook, clean, sew, and take care of ourselves, and to make it with nothing, so that you are able to be successful, and also to understand that delayed gratification is very important, and not look at what someone else has, and understand that it can be a goal for you to move forward to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in life.
Now let me guess. I'm trying to remember. You from Louisiana?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. And so, first off, is everybody enjoying hearing these stories as much as I am? I am just. I mean, I'm just smiling. It really is awesome to hear. And I'm gonna tell y'all this. Y'all ain't heard y'all haven't even heard the other part that's like gonna blow your mind. I'm not even gonna bring it up. We're gonna surprise them, Mary, when we tell them what happened with your kids and everything. That we'll save that for later. But what I'm fascinated by, Mary, is because my mama used to tell me stories about your family all the time. And what she would talk about is that y'all had a system. Y'all understood that family can help each other. That is almost like a system of wealth building
Hmm.
that can be generated by everybody being on the same page. And I wrote about that a lot in my book. I talked about the family. The family is an asset if you use it right. So, can you talk? Here's how my mama told this story, and then I want you to give the details. My mama used to say, she said, well, when Mary grew up, there was 14 kids, and they were sharecroppers, and they literally picked cotton. That she would always say,
Hmm.
they literally picked cotton, and they had a rule that when one of them went off to college or got a job and made money, they would send money back to help the kids behind them and that
Hmm.
kind of thing. So it sounded like y'all had a systematic approach to these things. Can you describe that a little bit so we can learn from that?
Sure. Um, Basically, the way that worked is when, let's say, my oldest sister went off to college, and when she got out of college, um, some of the clothes, there were less people to work on the farm because as they were going off, the ones that were left behind still needed to do extra work in order to keep the farm going. And and let me explain just briefly about when I say keep the farm going. The cows had to be milked, the eggs had to be picked from the chickens, the pigs had to be fed. All of that had to be done before you went to school. Okay. So,
And then you go to school. Oh my
and then
gosh.
you go to
Okay.
school.
Wow.
So when they would go off to college and finish and get a job, things like having time to sew and make clothes because the younger ones in the family were girls. So having time to make clothes for us to wear, they would oftentimes get items that were off season on sale and send home to us clothing. So we would have clothes to go to school so we didn't look so raggedy. We would have clothing to go to school. And no, it was not any Nikes or anybody else's name on those. It was whatever they could find on sale that would help. They would also send, if there were like events, things that came up during the school year, like high school class ring. I remember one of my older siblings sending money for me to get a class ring, for a prom dress, fabric to make a prom dress, sending money back for those type of things, and basically sending money back for just basic things. So every one of us, as we got older, we would do that. We would, we take care of the needs that, we were not asking anybody to not provide for themselves, but they were very conservative in what they did. Like I say, we didn't go out and buy the name brand stuff. So instead of paying $100 for a pair of Nikes, you paid 25, $30 for a pair of nobody name shoes. And that other $75, you can do something else with it. That include investing and making some investments, and that also include sending a little bit back. One of the things that my mom would always say is that if you have family, if you don't have nothing else in the world, if you have family, you've got your siblings and you've got God. That's all you need.
Hmm.
And we use that as a guiding light for us to remember to give to each other, to take care of each other, to help each other, no matter what it would do, to make sure that each other were able to survive and be successful in things that they do. Now, that did not mean that any of us abuse any of us, or try to take advantage, because I know my sibling's going to help if I need something. So I'm going to go out and buy, a 50,000 or $200,000 car and expect them to help me pay the note. That was not that type of system. The system was when you got out, you got a job, you can help the ones coming along behind you until they get to the point where they didn't need the help. Until they got to the point where they were out of college, they had their own job. When all of us got out of college and we all got jobs, we reached back and started working on repairing the house that my parents were living in. And, eventually purchased a car from my mom who had never had a car. Uh, a brand new car. And it was not an expensive car. It was a Toyota Camry. And she loved that car because that was the first brand new car that she had ever had, or actually first vehicle that she had had. And so we continue to reach back, and even today we continue to reach back. We have scholarships at Southern University, and I believe my sister has a scholarship at McNeese, to continue to give back, because we know what it takes in order to move forward. We know what it takes to help people become productive in life, and people do want to become productive in life, and there are a lot of people who do not know how to become productive in life. And so that's kind of how that process worked. When you got out of high school and went to college, and while you were in college, the ones at home would pick up pecans and sell the pecans, send the money to those that were in college. Once
Wow.
those got out of college, they would turn around and whatever they could send back home and help those back at home. And so we kind of worked that process until everybody was out, and then everybody was good to go.
Wow, wow. Well, everybody, in case you just came in, I'm speaking with Dr. Mary Stoddard, and Dr. Stoddard is she's an attorney. You said licensed
Registered,
dietitian,
licensed,
registered di
registered dietitian. Hmm.
registered dietitian, which is something else I didn't know about. That's something we can talk about in the future for sure. And we're just talking about building million-dollar families, building family systems that lead to success. These are things that we can teach each other, things that we can implement in our own lives to help us to all succeed and to win. And I want everybody to, I want to remind everybody really quickly, if you want to get on the text list for this class, text the word morning to the number 87948, or you can go to drboyceelevate.com or text the word morning on your phone to 87948. Later on today, I'll send you all a link to join us as we're going to talk about what's going on with the stock market and everything else. We'll definitely get to that, but I want to drill into this conversation with Dr. Stoddard. And okay, so let me ask you this, Dr. Stoddard. So out of 14 kids, how many of those 14 kids, listen now, I need y'all to hear this. How many out of the 14 kids actually like went to college and graduated?
He went to traditional colleges and graduated. One went to a Bible college and
Okay.
did coursework there. So all of them went and did some type of academic. Most of us have, several of us have masters, have the bachelor's and the masters. Most of them are engineers, though, and have their engineer degree. Several of them are professional engineers. There's an exam that you have taken in order to be, they call a PE, a professional engineer. So most of them are either engineers or computer geeks,
Okay.
computer experts.
So let me interrupt you again. I want to take our time on this point. So are you telling me that out of 14 kids, now the black college graduation rate, I think about 60% of black people that go to college graduate. So you're telling me out of 14 children, did you say 14 kids graduated from college? Now I want everybody to, I mean, I need y'all to really, do y'all understand why I'm pausing you on this? Because I need y'all to really, because we'll go celebrate what some rapper did, but we don't celebrate what our extraordinary families pull off. 14 children born picking cotton, literally 14 out of 14. That's a 100% success rate. Do y'all understand why families like this need to be studied? I really need everybody to just really get this, man. And I'm sorry, I hope I don't embarrass you with this, but this is the kind of stuff everybody should study because everywhere we go, we're inundated with this idea that, well, of course you're not successful. Look at where you came from. Or of course you can't do it. If you have 14 kids, well, half of them are going to end up, some in prison or like we kind of expect that. And it sounds like your parents were just extraordinary in their ability to really get everybody on code like that. That's so impressive. I mean, people would forgive you if you say, "Well, 11 of us did okay, but three of us, went off and became drug dealers." Right? People would say, "Oh, well, 11 out of 13, 14 ain't bad, but 14 out of 14." So,
Mhm.
first off, let me ask you this: just out of respect for your parents, what were their names? Like, I think we should name them.
O
Or give them.
L Then L and Leola. My father's name was L, the letter L.
Just L?
Just L.
Just
His
L.
his father's name was L.
Just L.
Just L. I
Wow,
don't know
I
the
love
story
that.
behind that. And my mother's name was Leola. Yeah.
How do you spell your mama's name?
Leola.
Leola. Okay.
Yeah.
So I, I
Just
and I
L.
think everybody needs to know that. So everybody type the letter L in the chat. We got LL, right? Like the rapper
Right.
LL. Yeah, so we got L. So everybody put L in the chat because we do that because we want to bring the ancestors in guidance and these are black leaders. That's what your parents are to me. They are black leaders. They led their family to this extraordinary outcome, and I mean, I honor those names. They L and Leola. Are they in heaven now, or are they?
They are. They are both in heaven.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yes, I really want everybody to know those names. I never met anybody with one letter for a name. That's so cool. Okay, so let me ask you this, Mary. Dr. Stoddard, sorry. Uh, okay, now let's get to your kids.
Okay.
You have
So
five
I have
kids.
I have five kids,
Okay.
five wonderful kids, and my oldest is Shauna, and who is actually your youngest sibling, same age. Um, her
Oh,
Shauna and Lawrence were in the same. They were the same age.
oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're the same age. And then you have Damien, Carmela, Erica, and then Serena, who
Okay.
is the
Now,
youngest.
now, out of your five kids, let's go one by one, just their profession, and then I want to, and then we can dig or education level. Let's do that, and then I want to hear about each, like in terms of what they do specifically. Give me the education level. Let's start with Shauna. What is her education level?
So Shauna also holds a PhD in chemistry, biochemistry. She also has a master's in special education and her bachelor's from Prairie View A&M in chemistry. Damien has a PhD in mechanical engineering, has a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Prairie View A&M. Carmela has a PhD in sociology and a master's of art in communication and a master's of art in PhD. Her PhD is from UCLA. Her master's is from University of Amherst, University of Massachusetts Amherst, and her undergraduate bachelor's is from USC in California. Then Erica has a MD and is finishing her fellowship in interventional endovascular neurology, and her bachelor's. She went to University of Cincinnati Medical School. Her bachelor's is from Rice University, in neurobiology, neurophysiology biology. And then Serena is the youngest. She has a DVM, a Doctor's of Veterinary Medicine. She is, and her bachelor's is from, her DVM is from Tuskegee University. Her bachelor's is from University of Missouri, Mizzou. And so those are their degrees.
Okay. So, now give me your son's name again.
Damien.
Damien. Okay. So I need us to like again because there's so much, right? And I want us to pause and I want to explain why in terms of understanding why we get together every morning. Do y'all understand why? Like, let me ask y'all this. Do y'all know any other family like this? Like, do you know any other family that has done something on this level? Most of us do not. It's definitely not. I mean, I think this should be national news. It really should. So let me just go through it. Okay. So you say Shauna, PhD in chemistry, Damien, PhD in engineering, Carmela, PhD in sociology, Erica, MD in some topic that was so complex that both of us would have a hard time reciting it. Serena, a doctor of veterinary medicine. So that is so process this, y'all. The L and Leola go 14 for 14 from from literally picking cotton to college graduation, right? So they go 14 for 14. Dr. Stoddard and her husband go 5 for 5, 5 kids, 5 PhD, MD level graduates. That does not happen by accident. That doesn't happen by accident. And if you listen to what people say about the experience of being black in America, you would almost think it was impossible. And so Dr. Stoddard, one question I wanted to ask really quick, because a lot of people are asking this in the chat, is did you ever write a book on this, or have you ever thought about writing a book, just with your principles and philosophies on family and child rearing?
Actually, I am writing the book. I'm doing the second revision right now and then off to a publisher. So the book hopefully will be coming out soon.
Well, when that book comes out, I think you've got a few thousand people right here that will be the first ones to buy it. So
Okay.
I hope you'll reach out to me because I love to support you in that because I think that the education system unfortunately teaches a lot of stuff that doesn't really help us really solve the
Mhm.
challenges of what we go through. I think the black experience is very unique. And I know you were introduced to our family because and everybody should know this. Dr. Stoddard helped my sister. My sister went to medical school. It didn't work out the first time, and my sister to this day, she's the only person I ever met who left medical school and then was able to come back and finish. And now my sister's a medical doctor, largely due to the guidance and support of Dr. Stoddard. Okay, so she's not just somebody I admire. She's pretty much family. But but you I hope you understand when we're talking the stuff we're talking about. We can talk about it, but Dr. Stoddard is a person who said, I'm gonna be about it.
Mhm.
She's about black excellence. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop talking. I wanted to set the frame to make sure people understand why I was so excited to have you in here. Um, is there anything else you wanted to share that we can walk away with? Because I could talk to you all day. But anything else that comes to mind?
Yeah, actually. And so basically, in trying to raise a family, I think people need to understand that it's not about um, how much money you have or the credentials you have. It's about the amount of love that you're willing to give and willing to share. You cannot just focus on your family alone. We're here to help each other. And so we have to give, like you talked about me helping Tangi, we have to be willing to share and help others as well. Help them achieve their goals while you're helping yourself and helping your children achieve their goals. And I'll give you an example of what I'm to so kind of give you a picture of what I'm talking about. While I was in, while I was working on my law school degree, I had church members who were willing to. My son was in Boy Scouts, didn't want to pull him out of Boy Scouts. I commuted to law school an hour. It's 100 miles from my house to law school, one way. So I commuted to law school. They would literally pick him up and take him to Boy Scout meetings and bring him back home. Living in a community makes a huge difference. Another example would be when you have assets and when you have resources. And when I talk about resources, I'm not just talking about money because money can't do everything for you. You can have all the money in the world, and money is never going to drive you anywhere. And money is never going to cook anything for you because money can't do that. Now, you can pay somebody with the money, doesn't mean that they're actually going to do it. They
Mm,
can take the money and leave. But when you take the time to show love, give love, act in love, and be loved, that's reciprocal. And it also comes back to you as well. So taking the time to do for others, living in a community, that's what helped us get to where we are. In my family growing up, that farm and my siblings, we were a community, going back and helping each other, sending the money from the pecans and all of that. That's helping each other in some way. But
mm,
you also got to be willing to do that for people who are not in the family. You got to, it was very important that I be connected to a church because I have a strong faith in God. Be connected to the church, have individuals in the church who are willing to help you achieve those things that you try to achieve. And in having that support system, you have also got to be a part of that support system. You've got to be willing to turn around and help those other individuals as well. You cannot be a taker in life and just take, and never give. You probably heard the saying, the more you give, the more you receive. That's true. The more you bless other people, the more you are blessed. And because of that, not just Tanja, I've helped other individuals. I've got another young lady that's graduating from law school. She started one law school, didn't work out. She's graduating from another law school because she really wanted to be a lawyer. So continue to do that and continue to give, because God will bless you for that.
Mm,
And but God blesses us to bless other people though. And so we have to keep that in mind, that we are blessed to help other people. Anything that we have accomplished, we should be willing to help other people accomplish that. And so you got to give out to others in order to receive it back to yourself. So that's one thing I want everybody to understand. And then I want also, as far as the family structure is concerned and who does what, it's very important. And I talked about why I said I'd talk about why I have my own practice. That allowed me to do the things that I need to do for my kids.
mm,
I had to change jobs 3 times in order to accommodate my kids' schedule while I was in Louisville, and I'm still here. So I have one daughter who was a dual student at Brown High School and at the University of Louisville at the same time. Now, being that she was 13 years old, I'm not going to send my 13-year-old to catch the bus to ride to a university and then for her to come back home. That's not going to happen because I need to know that, make sure that she's safe. So I would literally have to put myself in a position where I could pick her up at school at noon, get her something to eat, and then take her to the university where she had classes from 1 to 5, and then bring her back so she can have her music lessons and all of the other things. And so that's kind of why I have the practice, why I started my law practice, so that I would be able to accommodate them so that they can be successful. I mean, she's the one that graduated with 60 plus hours of college credits from high school. It's and is the name of the interventional endovascular neurologist. So you got to make sure that somebody's schedule is flexible to invest in your kids. And I know you always talking about investment. If you don't invest in your children, then you don't leave a legacy. If you don't invest in yourself, then you can't give a legacy. And if you don't invest in other people, then you don't really have anything to show for life. I mean, you can get stuff, but
mm.
what do you really have to show for in life?
Wow, that is so powerful. That I really I want everybody to, I hope you'll hear me on this. These are our teachers. This is the blueprint. I mean, this really show. I mean, the word, the operative word, and everything that you were saying, Mary. Really, in my mind, I was hearing love. It was just, you love your children, so you are investing in your children. You love yourself, you invest in yourself. You love your community, you invest in the community, and that love that's coming from God, uh, it gives you standards and a code of conduct that just resonates in terms of how you carry yourself in the world and how others in your system, community, sort of respond to that, right? It's this reciprocity. You and your siblings all agreeing that you're going to love and support each other, and not just love in terms of saying I love you, but love in terms of action. We're gonna go sell the pecans so that I can send you the money to get your books because I love you and we're in this together. We are a team. We are a unit. We help each other survive. Like your mother, Leola, used to tell you that as long as you have family and people that care about you, that love you, you're gonna be okay. Like, and I love I love that all of that because not one single time was there any discussion about what white folks are and are not gonna do. No, nothing against them or anything like. But it's like there wasn't sort of like, well, look at what they're doing to us. We need them to do this for us. No, y'all did it for yourselves, and did it in a way that's not just based on principles, but also was very it was based on implementation. It's based on action, right? You were actually doing the little things. Like I had to make sure, and I was listening to you in terms of the task orientation. You said, well, no, she needs to get there safely. So I started my own business so that I can invest in the children. And she needed somebody to pick her up and get her something to eat, to take her to the, and I think that these little instruction guides, I just really like if I had an extra $50 million, I would make I would incentivize every person in America to take a class from Mary Stoddard called Life 101, Success 101, whatever you want to call it, because that's what it is. You had a formula. And the thing I know from watching how you and your husband have done things is that I said there ain't no this don't happen by an accident. This don't happen because you just dump your kids off at the public school and hope for the best. Like, this requires a lot of work and a lot of problem solving. And I because I remember the kids when they were growing up, and they weren't always as polished, and perfect. There were times where things would be led astray. And I remember you calling me, and we were kind of helping each other out on certain things. And it's so it's a plan, everybody. That's what I want you to understand. You are the greatest black leader in your own house. So I encourage everybody to lead your house. So anyway, Mary, is there a place where people can like find you, or is there a website? So is there anything, just whatever it is you want people to know about? What would you like to share? Just
So,
a website.
so I'm always happy to give people my number because I love to talk to individuals and help individuals. So, you can put my phone number 502-939-4465 in the chat, and my email address, marystarted80 @gmail. I do have a Facebook page. I don't do much with it because I spend my time doing other things more important than updating Facebook.
So
And and
so
somebody, and you mentioned something about looking in, and I saw somebody put in the chat something about other individuals, white population, things like that. If you think about the amount of time wasted looking at others,
mm,
think about how much time you can waste looking at what other people are doing and what you could be doing more productively. So no, don't waste your time looking at what other folks doing. And the role models that your children need should be in the house with them.
mm,
My son came through my yesterday with 5 college students that he was taking to a conference, an engineering conference in Philadelphia, and they stopped here. I cooked lunch for them, and one of the students stayed back and said, Dr. Stoddard told me to ask you some advice on something about, I guess he's overprotective, and the fact that my son, one of his college students, would want to know advice from me, somebody who he doesn't know me, but he wanted to know, well, how he could do a certain thing or how he can accomplish a certain thing. And he says, and I know you have the wisdom to be able to tell me how to do that, to help me how to do that. And he was not African American. None of them were African American because most people that are engineering are not African American. So don't waste time spending time thinking, looking at what other people are doing, and always make yourself available. And that example of that student wanting me to help him with something or give him some advice on something yesterday meant that he saw something and he values my son and how my son lives his life and how my son treats his student, so much so that he would ask my son's mother for
mm,
advice.
mm,
And so that's a legacy that you're passing on, because if somebody who, and I didn't know this kid from any, I didn't know him, and for him to say, can you give me some advice on this, that shows that the legacy that we want to leave is actually in place
mm,
and exists.
and he knows the apple don't fall far from the tree. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, I agree with that. Um, I've I've always been very interested in Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but I really wanted to learn about Dr. Martin Luther King Sr. and his wife as well, just to kind of know, like, how do you create a Martin Luther King? Or Walt Disney is not as interesting as his parents, who probably had no idea they were creating this man that was gonna build this half-trillion-dollar company. So I agree with you 100%. And so remember that solutions are out there, everybody. And I hope that from the conversation with Dr. Stoddard, you can see solutions in your own life. And those solutions are going to come from you in terms of you choosing to pursue the excellence that you have access to. It's not going to really be given to you by society. So I put Dr. Stoddard's number in the chat. I'm going to pop paste it back in here again. Uh,
Yeah, and Dr. Watkins, somebody I saw some text come through that somebody had talked about their kids with the wrong crowd at school. Let me just address that. And because I had experience with one of my kids who was hanging out with a friend of hers, her best friend at school, and they decided they want to play around in school. And she ended up having to go to summer school because she played around in school. And when we talk about excellence, no, don't bring home any C's and D's because that doesn't work in this family. And so that's basically an F as far as we're concerned. And so she ended up having to go to summer school because she was playing around in class with her best friend. You have got to be involved in the schools. You have got to know every teacher at the school. You've got to know all the counselors at the school. And so, yes, I took that as an opportunity to have the counselor redo her schedule to make sure she was never in a class again with her best friend. And she didn't know it until she got to school the next year and said, I don't have any classes with my friend. I'm like, okay, you can see her after school. And so she was not able to play around. And she, that was a lesson for her and consequences that were associated with that. But and then I have one of my other kids who had best friend, uh, was from, I don't know what the family situation was, but the young girl, and this is like fifth grade, I'm talking fifth grade, already had a drinking problem. And so my daughter has,
Wait,
yes,
did you say fifth grade?
fifth grade. And so my
Okay.
daughter,
Okay.
because of how she was raised, my daughter said she was no longer her friend. And I said, well, what happened? She says, well, I don't have time to deal with people who act stupid. And as I inquired more about the young girl had gotten drunk, and my kids was like, no. So she had the ability to get rid of people or to separate people from her life who were not going to help her get anywhere, who were going to be a burden on her getting anywhere, who were going to pull her down. And we have to teach our kids to do that. That, hey, if this person is not going to help contribute anything to your life or anybody else's life, then you don't need that person. You need to keep it stepping and find somebody else. And so yes, whoever that put that in the chat, if your kids hang around people that are not necessarily uh, who you want them to hang around, then you need to intervene because you, as a parent, have the right to dictate who and who does not have access to your children. And that includes classmates, parents, teachers, principals, whomever. That is an
Mm.
obligation that you have as a parent to make sure you raise your kids and keep them in a safe and productive and comfortable environment. So whoever that person was, if you want to talk more, you got my number. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about that.
Okay. Well, you unleashed the avalanche when you gave out that phone number.
I
'Cause I,
know.
I, I know how our people I know how we get when we love what somebody has to say. But I can tell you, I first of all, I just appreciate you so much, Mary, and for what you've done for my family. And I keep calling you Mary because my mama called you Mary, but I want to say Dr. Stoddard because we got company today, and so we're gonna show that respect. And I want to say thank you for what you've given to all of us today. And I hope everybody will give Dr. Stoddard a digital thank you and an appreciation, because we got to appreciate the black men and women in our community that are really doing things at this level. Not even the black, just people, period. Just human. You're human first. So we got to appreciate the people that get it. The ones that are solving the problems and helping us to create better lives for ourselves. And I'm gonna bring Dr. Stoddard back. She spoke at the All Black National Committee. You spoke there in 2021, and I know that Mama was there, and Mama me and Mama both agreed that we said, gosh, I wish more people were in there. In fact, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find that recording of your speech you gave, and I'm gonna share that with everybody in this class. So everybody here, if you'd like to get that, make sure you're on the text list. Text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948, or go to drboyceelevate.com if you live in another country. And also later on today, we'll also do stock market stuff. But I'm gonna find that speech from Dr. Stoddard because I don't know if y'all, I hope y'all agree with me when I say these are our teachers. This is all we need. You know, this learning from someone like this is more valuable. I've learned more from Dr. Stoddard than I learned from any teacher at the college, graduate school level, or undergrad level, because because really your goal is to have a successful life, whatever that means for you. So
Mhm.
bless you, everybody. Thank you for coming in, and thank you, Dr. Stoddard, for your time. We got to follow up. We got to do because I know they love you, and so you can we got to figure out a way, and we're going to support that book. So when that book is ready, and in fact, I'll give you a call. I'll give you a call after if that's okay. If you got a couple minutes.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's fine.
All right. All right. Excellent. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. Thank you
All
guys for
right.
hanging out, and